All right, everybody, what's going on? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Just got back from the game, just finished eating, just got finished watching the 4 p.m. slated games. At the time of recording, the Jets game and the Bills game is still going on. Y'all remember when the Jets thought they still had a chance of making this a good season, and now Zach Wilson got benched for Boyle. The Bills, look, I expected the Bills to win today. I, in a way, kind of wanted the Bills to win today because they have such a rough stretch of games following their game today. So this was the game that I was okay with them winning, and I was very happy to see the Jets just get destroyed like they did. But we're here to talk about the Dolphins beating the Raiders 20-13. I was at that game, as I always am. In case you can't tell, lost my voice. Before we get into the game, we got into it with a lot of Raider fans on this channel over the last couple days, and I don't want to come on here and gloat. It was not the game that I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be a blowout. Now, all the Raiders fans that we were talking to the comments with thought they were going to win, which I just thought that never was going to happen. But, I got to give my props to the Raiders team. They are a team that's clearly fighting for Antonio Pierce and fighting for themselves. This is a team that has not just rolled over due to the fact they fired their coach midseason. This is a hard team. It's going to be a hard team to beat the remainder of the season. They have some talented guys. They're going to be really just looking what they want to do with this roster next year. This could be a completely different roster in terms of even coaching. We'll see if Antonio Pierce keeps his job. We'll see what happens. But it's a weird year for the Raiders, and it was a weird game. So like I said, we won 2013, in case you didn't know that. Going to go down the stats real quick. Tua, 325 yards, 8.3 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception, and was sacked 1 time. Raheem Mostert, leading carrier, 22 carries, 86 yards. Devon Achane did just have 1 carry for 1 yard. We all know that he went down from this game, was taken out in the second quarter, and did not return to the game. So interesting to see what it looks like with his injury diagnosis. We know he was coming into the game already a little bit questionable, coming back from the IR with his knee injury, and to re-injure it is certainly not a good sign. We'll have to wait and see what Mike McDaniel says about it and how serious it is as to whether he'll be available on Friday for the Jets, because keep in mind we do have a short week, being that we play on Black Friday after Thanksgiving. So definitely want to keep your eye on Devon Achane. Savon Ahmed was also in there, 3 carries, 6 yards. It was pretty much only Raheem Mostert on the ground, 99 total yards, just under 100. Ground game wasn't particularly great. Picked up a couple first downs when we needed it, but we could not ice the game. That when we had it on that last drive, the last real drive, ground game came up just short. Raheem also under 4 yards a carry, again, just barely at 3.9. Tyreek Hill. Breaking news, Tyreek Hill is very good at football. Breaking news, Tyreek Hill is the best offensive player in football. 10 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. He is everything to this team. He's open all game long. It's so hard to guard him. I mean, I'm watching it in my position. I sit in section 304, and so that's behind the end zone, behind one of the end zones. And you get to look down on the field and watch from the angle that the coaches watch. And there's plays where it looks like he's triple teamed until he makes one quick move, either out or in. And that's the thing, because you never know when/if that cut is happening. If he breaks out, because you don't want him to get open across the middle of the field. And we saw he got just a little bit of space and resulted in that touchdown that he had. If he gets just a little bit of space, he's gone. So you give him the outside, and he'll happily take the outside. 10 catches, 146, a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, another quiet day from Waddle, 4 catches for 55 yards. I didn't even know that Chosen had 2 catches. Oh, yeah, he had that one at the end of the first half. Robbie Anderson, 2 catches, 39 yards. Not a lot going from the rest of the offense. Unfortunately, we did see a few fumbles. Tua fumbled it. Julian Hill fumbled it. Both fumbles coming within our own territory. And then Tua did throw an interception on that first play of the drive. In back-to-back games where we opened the second half with a turnover on the very first play. Last time we played, I think it was against the Patriots. Patriots failed exchange. This time, just chucking it deep arm punt on the very first play. And you're just like, why? I was coming back to my seat. I was in the exact same position virtually from last or few weeks ago when we did this against the Patriots, and the exact same reaction. Just you hear the crowd cheering, like that doesn't sound like a good thing for the Dolphins. And I come up and I see the Raiders players are all in the end zone celebrating. On the right side, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen freaking Ramsey, a third-round pick and a third-string tight end, leads the team in interceptions, had 2 more today, including the game winner. Hurt himself in the process. Again, another injury that we'll have to see how serious it is. He walked up and he looked fine. Probably just landed on the football, hurt his ribs a little bit. But he is such an elite player. We got a Hall of Fame corner. We're getting probably the end of his run. He's still clearly atop his game, even though he came off an injury. Hasn't stopped him at all. Has made some massive plays since coming back. And to get that game-sealing interception, as well as the break that he had on the ball in his first interception, it's class. It's perfect. Jalen Phillips got his first interception as a pro, even though it was an interception, but it was 4th down. So either way, we're going to get the ball back. That's it for the Dolphins side of things. Raiders, Aiden O'Connell. Look, I was impressed by Aiden O'Connell. He showed some athleticism. He showed a big arm. He showed some courage on some throws. That touchdown pass he had to Devontae Adams, I don't feel confident about Jimmy Garoppolo making that throw. He's probably going to overthrow or underthrow it. One way or another, probably wouldn't end up in Devontae's hands. And then had a couple of interceptions where it's just kind of unlucky. Like that last play of the game, you have to score a touchdown. You're running out of time. You see your guy cutting deep. Throw it up to him. Maybe it's incomplete and you just run a different play again. And then the one where he's getting sacked, I don't really count that against him. The one interception he did have where Ramsey's first one where he caught on the ball just perfectly. So I think Aiden O'Connell played very well. The run defense, stopping Josh Jacobs to just 39 yards, 2.8 yards per carry was unreal. 36 total yards on the ground. Unbelievable. We got to see in preseason, in training camp, this rushing defense and how good it can be. And then early in the season, we were wondering where it was. We saw us get run all over by the Chargers and a few other games where other opposing teams had what they want on the ground game. But this rushing attack defense is looking like it's back to where we thought it would be coming into the season. 36 total yards, on the ground is incredible. And then moving down to Devontae Adams, 7 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 4 catches, 49 yards. I believe all those came in the second half. Look, it wasn't a win that you're going to remember. You're not going to remember this in 5 years from today. Probably not. You look at the team stats. Pretty much everything swung in our favor. We had more first downs. We had more yards. We had more passing yards, more rushing yards, total yards. Had more drives for what it's worth, I guess. Yards per play, yards per pass, turnovers. You go down the entire team list, and it pretty much all swung in our favor. But the Raiders hung around. They proved they were a tough football team, and a team that is everyone's fighting for their job, everyone's fighting for their position, everyone's fighting for Antonio Pierce. And, that's what you can get out of these teams where they fire their head coach. They just rally around the one coach that is elevated, a guy that, the locker room believes in, and they want to go out and fight for him. And that's what they're currently doing. They're not going to make the playoffs, but this is a team that's going to be a hard out for every single game for the rest of the season. So for the actual game itself, look, we have got accustomed to the Miami Dolphins winning games a particular way. And that particular way is a fireworks show on offense. We walk out of the stadium just oohing and awing over what Tyreek Hill did, what Jalen Waddle did, what a pass Tua made, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert. We've gotten so accustomed to this circus that we get to watch on offense. And earlier in the season, the defense, we were wondering where it was, wondering when it would pick up. We won a game on the back of our defense in 2023. I didn't feel confident about that at all earlier in the season when I saw, what we did again against the Chargers, what we did against the Bills, the other losses that we've made. It's like we can't stop the Eagles game especially. Like how frustrating was that, where they just kept picking up first down after first down. This defense is finally coming around. They scored 13 points. They got a few of those points off of turnovers in our own territory. The one touchdown they had was Devontae Adams coming up open deep over the middle of the field in triple coverage. It was just a perfect pass, perfectly placed ball by Aiden O'Connell. The secondary, it's embracing that bend don't break mentality. They had that one deep shot outside of that, kept most of everything in front of them except for that last drive, which was just driving me crazy, where Devontae Adams felt like he was open virtually every single play. But they made stops. They made fourth down stops. More importantly, the Raiders were over 2 on fourth down. Both of those two coming in the fourth quarter when they were driving, had the ball in our territory in only a 7-point game, made 2 defensive stops, and then obviously the biggest play of the game, the defensive stop, Jalen Ramsey interception in the end zone. You're not going to remember this game in a few years from now. This is not a game that when you go back, whether the Dolphins win the Super Bowl, whether we lose in the first round, whether if we miss the playoffs, God forbid. This is not a game that we're going to remember and think fondly of, but it's a game that I feel like the Dolphins showed some real grit. And we've been called a speedboat, we've been called a luxury team, a luxury item. When push comes to shove, you don't want your speedboat. You want just something that's going to get the job done. You don't want a McLaren. You want an F350. Well, we showed a little bit of F350 today. 100 yards on the ground, picked up some first downs when we needed to. Defense made some stops, got some interceptions. It's not the flashy show that we've been accustomed to, but it's a performance that I can tolerate. Now, we were all nervous. My heart was in my stomach. I was very fortunate that the guy that I was sitting next to, he was a Raiders fan. Ironically, a Raiders fan from Buffalo, New York. So, at least he's not a Bills fan. That he'd be more annoying if that was the case. But super cool dude. We literally talked the entire game. He was, I was supposed to bring one of my friends. Honestly, I had a better time with that guy sitting next to me than probably my friend, because we literally talked from the opening snap to the end of the game. Super cool dude. I don't even remember where I was going with that. Completely over my head. But a Raiders team that was tough, a resilient effort by this Dolphins team, and a win that I'm okay with. I don't have to see us score 30 to 40 points to have a win. I think I was going on about something about my heart being in my stomach in that whole fourth quarter. Where they had 3 drives within the last 6 minutes to go down, put points up on the board. We had 2 fourth down stops and interception at the end. I'm okay with that. I'd rather win a game because our defense stepped up. Our offense wasn't bad by any means. I mean, 422 yards is a very good output. Points-wise, 20 points. You missed a field goal, had some turnovers where the drives didn't even get started yet. We pushed the ball downfield, had 2 touchdowns. When we got in the red zone, we scored. I believe we scored every single time, every trip we took to the red zone. Tua, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Tyreek Hill is now over 1,200 yards on the year. Tua is just under, 3,000 yards on the year. 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I'll take it. Just move a step further in the right direction. Another game won, another AFC opponent won, trying to get that AFC tiebreaker to be better, because 2 of our losses are against AFC teams. So that could be something that comes to be an issue at the end of the year, especially since one of them is the Chiefs. So we have that like game where we drop the game to the Chiefs when it comes to seeding. But 7-3, divisional opponent next week, and we just got to watch them get humiliated. Virtually everybody was watching because all the other games ended much sooner than their game did. So, look, it wasn't sexy. It wasn't flashy. Tyreek got his yards. Tua got his. Nobody particularly played bad. Got to wonder what happens with Devon Achane, but a win's a win. Move on to the New York Jets. Have the opportunity to go 8-3. Have a very favorable run of games up until the Cowboys game, then the Ravens, then the Bills. But up until then, 4 winnable games. Rest until we get to there. I feel very confident about. Let me know your thoughts about the game down below. Were you excited? Were you nervous? What do you think about the offensive performance, the defensive performance? Tell me about Jalen Ramsey and how much of a G he is and how lucky we are to have him on this defense. Let me know all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.